Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Roman Polnar coming to you live, Pillar 6 College Planning, and this is our Financial Aid Wednesdays. Today is Wednesday, October 20th. We're now 20 days into this financial aid season, and today I want to take apart a very, very important topic, which is how to get more financial aid, because there's so many families right now who are out to get financial aid. They're looking, doing the best they can, and a lot of families are not going to be able to find and get the money that they really need to make college more affordable, which is why we're doing this every single week to help you fast track your way to get more financial aid so you can actually get the money that you need to send your kids to college without having to go deep into debt and without having to burden them with debt for many years to come. And we're going to do that today by talking about two very important steps to getting higher financial aid awards. And if you've gone through the financial aid process, or maybe you just started, you might realize by now that our financial aid system is confusing and it's complicated. And therefore, it makes it difficult to get all the money that you need because you're not really sure if you're doing all the right things. And if you haven't gone through this process yet and you're watching this earlier, before it's time for you to start, well, give yourself a pat on the back because that's great. You're have the benefit of time because you can learn all the right things and avoid making the same mistakes. So today, I want to help simplify all of these things so that you can get more money to help send your kids to college in avoiding all the debt and fast track your way to get more financial aid. So, to do that, I'm prepared a little bit of a slideshow to help you uh, go through this with me. But one thing I want to mention is if you're watching this live or if you're watching the replay, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. And I'll do my best to keep an eye out and answer them as I go through this. And then if you're watching a replay, put in your questions, and I or a member of my team will get back to you. And if you like this, please give us a thumbs up so I know that this is helping you. And feel free to share this with other folks that might have college bound kids that are looking for financial aid. All right. Without further ado, drum roll, let's talk about the two main steps to financial aid because, quite honestly, it shouldn't be very complicated because there's really only two things that you got to do correctly. Number one, you just have to qualify yourself for financial aid. And then number two, you got to get the money. It's really that simple. And if you put this on a timeline, which, I have a tendency to try to make things as simple for myself as I can because it's easy for me to get sort of lost in the weeds and lost in the detail. And it just helps me get that big picture, bird's eye view of like anything. And so if you were in 12th grade or your student was in 12th grade and your goal was to get money for college, the first thing that you really have to do is qualify for the financial aid. And then you kind of go through the application process to get the money to help you pay for college. Like these are really the two most important things that you got to do. And it should be this simple. Unfortunately, our financial aid system is anything but simple. It's pretty confusing and it's also disjointed. I'll pause here for a second. I'll tell you why it's disjointed. Like that saying that the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing? Well, it's kind of like that with our financial aid system because you qualify for financial aid through the government, but then you actually get money, the financial aid from colleges. And unfortunately, it's not that one side doesn't know what the other is doing. They don't really check one another. They leave it up to each other to determine like how much you qualify for. And it doesn't mean that that's the amount that you're going to get because like the two parts of our financial aid system aren't really talking to one another. And anyways, that's one of the main reason why so many people don't get the financial aid that they need, that they should qualify for and should get. Because it's easy to miss things along the way when you've got like these different parts of the financial aid system. And it's like I said, it's a little bit complicated and it's confusing to people. And it's also easy to make mistakes at several important parts along the way that result in lost financial aid. And I see families making six critical mistakes along the way. And I want to share these with you right now to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes, because each one of those mistakes effectively costs you money because it costs lost financial aid. And if we can avoid making these mistakes, then you're guaranteed to get more money to pay for college. Now, by the way, for those of you watching, we do have a really simple and easy to follow ebook that goes over these biggest mistakes. So if you want those, let me know. Just say yes in the comments below, and we'll send you a copy of that ebook. It's absolutely free, and it's going to help you avoid making these mistakes. But I'll run through them right now. So if we go back to our timeline, right, let's assume that you've got a high school senior and your main objective is to qualify yourself for financial aid. You do that by applying, like by submitting the forms. And the first mistake that people make is that they don't apply. And the reason that this happens is because of two biggest misconceptions. The first misconception that I hear all the time from parents is when they say, we make too much money and we're just not going to get any financial aid. So why apply? We're not going to get anything anyways. On the other side of the spectrum, I hear families say, we don't make enough money. Like we have nothing. So we'll just get financial aid automatically when our kids get into college. That's not correct. In fact, both of those are incorrect because everybody can qualify for some financial aid. Sometimes people qualify based on their financial need. Other people get financial aid because their kids have a certain academic accomplishments or personal accomplishments or just their profile based upon where they live, where they're coming from, what area of study they have. A lot of colleges will give merit financial aid to your kids that have nothing to do with your finances. But if you don't apply, you're guaranteed to not get the financial aid. So always, always apply. The second mistake I see families make in this qualifying stage is that they share too much and they input the wrong numbers. And if you do that, you're basically letting the government think that you have more money to pay for college than you really do. And that ends up lowering the amount of money that you could qualify for. Then, mistake number three is that people will submit their financial aid forms, but they won't verify that their application was processed and that it was processed correctly. And oftentimes, if you make a mistake at any point along the way during the application process, which by the way is designed to qualify you for financial aid, you won't know or you won't discover that there was a mistake or an error until it's too late. So, if you can verify that your financial aid application was actually processed and it was processed correctly right after applying, you're going to catch those errors much, much sooner, correct them or fix them, and then resubmit your financial aid forms and you'll be done. In this way, colleges are going to get the right information and you're going to get all of that money that you're eligible for. Now, the next three steps are around the getting money from colleges to actually pay for college. So, mistake number four is families pick the wrong colleges to begin with. And that's unfortunate because not all colleges have financial aid to give. Some colleges get very, very limited amount of money. Maybe they're dependent on the government to get the financial aid that they distribute every single year. And they don't get a lot of financial aid or free financial aid from the government. So that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see families make. But if you find colleges that actually have a lot of money to give, well, then you'll actually get a lot more money from those colleges. All right, mistake number five is starting too late. Unfortunately, this happens a lot because we're all busy and we've got a lot going on, especially when our kids are seniors in high school. There's just the applications, the getting all the transcripts, the essays, you're you're probably reminding your kids to do all the things that they're probably procrastinating on, excuse me. And it just doesn't leave a lot of time for anything else. But this is one of the best ways to make sure you actually get the money out of the financial aid system is if you start early and you submit financial aid forms early enough, because colleges, like I mentioned before, only have so much money to give. And the best kind of financial aid, which is free money, things like grants and scholarships and tuition discounts, well, there's a limited supply. And those tend to go to the first come, first serve. And so if you wait too long, or if you start this process too late, even if you qualify for a lot of financial aid, and even if colleges, have a lot of money to give, if they've given out all that money, there won't be much left for you. So don't make that mistake. Start as early as you can. So if you've got a high school senior right now and it's October 20th or whatever date you're watching this, start right now. Do not delay, and just got to do it correctly. I'll mention that in a minute. And then the final mistake, the reason that people don't get enough financial aid is that they don't negotiate. They just accept the first financial aid offer that they get. And that's a big mistake, because the first offer that colleges give you is not their final offer, and it's usually not their best offer. A lot of colleges will oftentimes just give you, maybe loans in the first pass. And if you take it and just accept what they give you and go away, well, you're locking in not getting the best financial aid offer. Instead, if you can go back and ask them to replace loans with actual free money, you've got nothing to lose, but everything to gain. So learn from the mistakes of others, because families make those six mistakes constantly. I mean, heck, I made those mistakes when I went to college, and I didn't learn about them until I started practicing as a financial aid advisor. So I'm sharing this with you from years of experience of seeing myself and hundreds of other families making these same mistakes. So don't make them. Do things correctly and do things quickly to actually qualify yourself for financial aid and get the financial aid that you need. Just make sure you're doing it correctly and on time. So, to qualify yourself for more financial aid, the first thing I want to urge you is to actually apply. Don't get suckered into these misconceptions that you make too much or you don't make enough. And like, nothing about our financial aid system is automatic. Like, you have to apply to get the money. But the key is you got to apply correctly. Don't overshare with the government. You don't want to lie. You'd never want to be dishonest. Like, there's no shenanigans here. But you got to know the rules of the road, because the government doesn't actually want you to share everything about your financial life with them. They only want you to share very specific things that they will then assume or calculate to be available to pay for college. So don't overshare. And then again, to qualify, you got to verify that you're submitting everything to the government correctly and that there weren't any errors made. If you want to learn, by the way, how to do this, just again say yes in the comments below, and I will send you our free ebook on how to do all of these things. Number four, to actually get the money that you qualify for, you got to pick the right colleges from the start. Pick colleges that actually have good financial aid policies. Pick colleges that have good merit financial aid policies, because those are the colleges that will give you the most amount of money. Then don't delay. Please don't procrastinate. This is not the time to just kick the can down the road because there isn't a looming deadline. Look, the government's going to give you, I think it's 19 months to complete the FAFSA. But colleges have their own deadlines. Various states have their own deadlines. But even that is less important, because you should never wait until those deadlines. Get your financial aid applications in as soon as you can. They become available on October 1st every single fall when your kids are seniors in high school, and then every single year when they're in college. Don't wait too long after October 1st to get your application submitted. So, the reason for that, again, as I mentioned in prior live casts, is that there are over 20 million people that submit the FAFSA looking for financial aid. And so you want to be as close to the start of that line as possible because the best financial aid award goes first, or they get awarded on the first come, first serve basis. And then lastly, don't just accept the very first offer that colleges give you because it's hardly their best offer and it's usually never their final. It doesn't hurt to ask for more. You just have to know how to ask. Now, by the way, colleges don't really like the word negotiate because, well, they just don't. I won't go into the reasons why. Maybe they just don't want to feel like you're negotiating for, a used car or something, and they're fancy and, they want you to use the term a financial aid appeal. But at the end of the day, you're going back asking them to give you more money or to revise your financial aid offer, which at the end of the day is negotiating. So, let's call it what it is. And between us friends, you are negotiating, but call it what they want, which is the financial aid appeal. And there are four different financial aid appeal types. By the way, I teach that in a course that we have. It's called the FAFSA Kit. And if you have a high school senior and you're applying for financial aid right now and you want to get as much help to make sure you're not making all of the mistakes that families often make at these six different parts, go check out that course. It's fafsakit.com, I believe. And if you want more information, just let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to tell you more about it. Hi, lady. I see that you want the ebook. We'll get that sent over to you. But anyways, don't just settle for the first offer they give you. There are four different reasons that you can apply or file a financial aid appeal. Four different reasons that you could use to negotiate for not only more money, but also better money. Because oftentimes colleges, they'll give you loans as part of the overall financial aid packet because colleges and the government look at loans the same way as they do at scholarships or grants. To them, it's all financial aid. But to you, they're very different things. We want you to get as much free money as possible, the kind of money that you actually don't have to borrow and later pay back. It's the kind of money you just get and it lowers your cost and it reduces how much you have to pay for college out of your pocket. And it doesn't burden your kids with debt, which is going to take them a long, long time to pay off. So don't borrow unless you have to. I did a live cast last week that talks about student loans. So if you have to borrow, um, check out that conversation because that's where I talk about the best kind of loans to start with and which loans to avoid. Because not all loans were created equal either. Some are better than others. And it's important that if you are going to have to borrow, um, get the best ones, the ones that give you the best protection and the ones that don't burden you as much as others. So, anyways, hopefully this has been helpful. Like I said, there are really only two really important steps to getting higher financial aid awards. It's qualifying yourself for financial aid, and then it's just getting the financial aid. It shouldn't be much more complicated than this. And despite the fact that our financial aid system is complicated and it is confusing and it is disjointed, don't let that stop you. Don't let it hold you back from getting that money because you should be able to send your kids to college without having to stress yourselves out financially, without having to set yourself or your students back. There's plenty of money. You just have to do the right things in the right order to actually get the money from the financial aid system. And you do that, number one, by applying. Number two, apply correctly. Don't make the simple mistakes that so many families make that I made myself. I've talked a lot about this. And if you want to know for sure that you're not making mistakes, go grab the FAFSA kit at, I think it's www.fafsakit.com. If somebody would put that in the comment section, I would really appreciate it. But that's all that it is. It's just doing things correctly. And then three, do things on time. Don't delay. And if you're finding yourself to be a little bit late in the process, like it's not game over, right? You might have gotten more money if you started sooner. Oh well, it's a lesson learned, but start right now. Don't delay any longer. And then remember that FAFSA or CSS profile, the two main financial aid forms, have to be completed every year that you want financial aid. So if your kids go to school for 4 years, you'll be completing the FAFSA 4 different years. So even if you're a little bit behind this year, you'll have an opportunity to make up for it in next year and the following and the year after that. All the principles are the same. So always apply correctly, apply on time, and I know you're going to be able to get a lot more financial aid than you would otherwise. So let me just quickly check to see if we have any questions in the comments. If you're watching this live or if you're watching a replay, feel free to put questions or comments below and we'll get back to you. If you want the copy of our free FAFSA ebook, just say yes in the comments below and we'll send it to you. And without further ado, looks like we don't have any questions at the moment. Good luck to you all. If you're looking for financial aid, I hope you find everything that you need and want. If you've got any questions, stay tuned. I do these financial aid Wednesdays every single Wednesday. And there are other times when thought comes to mind, I'll do a quick Facebook Live as well. And so with that, I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful week, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for watching. Take care.